Let's talk about Benny.
Benjamin Hunt.
Yeah,
Is that his name?
Benjamin Hunt.
Benjamin, Ben Joseph. I don't know. Ben Hunt confirmed with the Brisbane Broncos. It's a weird signing, I got to say. When I heard Ben Hunt was leaving, wanted to go to Queensland, I thought Gold Coast Titans. They've been dying for a top tier half for a while. Foreign's sort of on his way out. They haven't really been out. The number 7 they had last year played a good year, but haven't been top class. You're the Broncos. They already have an aging half in Reynolds. They have Ezra Mann at 6, who they've just signed long term. He's had some problems in the off season with the police. But I just think it's a weird fit. Like, what are they going to do? Are they going to play him at 6 with Reynolds? Are they going to play him as number 9 as a hooker and drop Walters? It's sort of a strange fit for me. What do you think?
Definitely a strange fit, but I'm trying to think of other teams that sort of have that double half combo, because don't a lot of teams, obviously you have your main half, but then you probably need someone to pick up the slack, because obviously Reynolds is aging. Can he play a full game anymore?
Yeah, but
and he's had injury problems with his, is it knee?
Yeah, his whole legs are just injured. Yeah. It's not like baseball, though, where you have one starting pitcher start one day and the next day another starting pitcher plays. Like, you're not spending $1 million a player just to play as a backup for your half.
True. But the sport is so taxing on the body.
I mean, look, I would almost guarantee that Reynolds isn't going to play the full year.
Yeah.
It's just, you never see any team do this, though, where they spend such... Like, I don't understand the Broncos salary cap is going to work. You've got Payne Haas on big money, Walsh on big money, Reynolds on big money, Tony Staggs on big money, Carrigan on... I don't think he's on massive money. He should be on more, but he's on like a decent amount. I'm sure I'm missing a couple other... I think Ricky would be on a nice pay packet. There'd be a few others that are paid pretty handsomely. Now you add Ben Hunt into that mix. Their bench is going to start getting weak. The wingers, they're not going to be able to pay, like, sort of, for their role players, they're not going to be able to be top tier. It's a very interesting decision for me, for the Broncos to sign him. Like, I don't think when you look at the Broncos last year, you go, oh, Ben Hunt was their issue. I think their issue was more cohesion in defense, sort of team unity, dropping off in games for certain periods. It was more mental rather than skill-wise. Like, Reynolds does exactly what Ben Hunt does. Obviously, as we know, he's a bit older. He's very brittle. As every year goes by, he's playing less and less games. But as I said, maybe they're getting Ben Hunt as a 9, play Walters off the bench. That's the only way I can see it fits. If they keep Ezra Mann, I haven't heard too much about what they're going to do about him. Yeah. If they're going to get rid of him, I think if they're going to get rid of him, they would have already torn up his contract and got rid of him.
You would say there has to be more changes to be made, right? Like, they wouldn't go in with what's currently like.
I think that'll be their spine. I think Walsh number 1, Mam 6, Reynolds 7, Ben Hunt number 9, and then Walters coming off the bench at 14. Look, that's a strong spine. Like, Ben Hunt plays Origin at number 9, and he's very good at it, but I don't know if that's Ben Hunt's best position in clubland. Like, his attributes are, as we know, for number 7 is passing, kicking, just the fundamentals of halfback position. You can do that at number 9, but at number 9 you can make a lot of tackles. Yeah, it's a lot more taxing. It's not really a old man's position, number 9 anymore. I know Cameron Smith did it for ages, but he was just a tactician. He's a genius at it. So it's going to be a big change for Hunt to suddenly go from playing in number 7 for 26 games a year to playing number 9 for 26 games a year, if that's what they're going to do. I'm just speculating. But yeah, I thought the Titans was a lock, but Broncos.
Does it add any value to, like, how you see them going, like, for this year?
It really doesn't. Because for me, it's just, I don't think it makes their puzzle any cleaner. It just adds more pieces. Like, I think it just makes it's going to be harder to fit it all in. I don't think it offers solutions. I actually think it creates a few more problems. Now, if they let go of Ezra Mann,
then it makes sense.
And they said, okay, look, you're done. That's a bad crime you've committed. You know, we don't want this guy on our team anymore. He's gone. Ben Hunt number 6 to partner Reynolds 7 is, I love that. I think that's a great team. Now, Ben Hunt's not your traditional number 6. You typically, with a Reynolds, you want someone, a ball playing, running 5'8", like Ezra. But Ben Hunt can run the ball, and as you said, if Ben Hunt goes down, boom, Reynolds goes down, boom, Ben Hunt in the 7, you bring in a number 6. That would make a lot of sense, but it seems like they're going to keep Ezra, so the only thing I can see is him play number 9, and he's going to be a hookup. So I don't...
Either that or they, just switch around with the three of them, right, in the halves.
Yeah. Just
do different
merry-go-round,
partnerships, see what happens.
Have a week off every now and then. Let you load management like the NBA.
Yeah.
It's a strange pickup. I'm guessing Ben Hunt wanted to go to Brisbane, and I'm guessing Brisbane. I would assume that Ben Hunt took a few unders, that he didn't take as much money as he could have. Brisbane are notorious for their third-party deals, so you get a few bucks from sponsorships outside of the salary cap. So if I had to guess, his deal would be way under what he was on at the Dragons. He'd be getting a bit more money from the third parties. Broncos saw the deal. He was on nearly $1 million at St. George. Goes to Broncos. He's, hey, I'll come here for 600, 500. And Brisbane, oh, wow, I'm getting Ben Hunt for 60% on the dollar. Yeah. That's a great deal. And Ben Hunt wanted to go to Brisbane. So I think maybe, I'm guessing that's how the deal went down. I don't know how much football decisions went into it, like sort of planning the team. And if we do spend the 600K, obviously speculation on Ben Hunt here, who else are we not going to miss out on? I doubt that means they're going to be able to re-sign Katoni Staggs. They're going to lose a bit of backline firepower. Payne Haas and like their engine is Payne Haas and Patrick Carrigan. Yeah. If they can't re-sign those guys, their team drops dramatically. Losing one of those two is a much bigger deal than getting Ben Hunt.
Mm.
Now, if Reynolds retires in a year and you can keep Ben Hunt for 3 years, okay, maybe that's the plan. Maybe 1 year of Ben Hunt in number 9 and then Reynolds goes next year, and that's a long-term strategy for them. But as people like to remind me in the comments of our TikTok video, Ben Hunt is still pretty old too. Like, he's not as if he's a spring chicken. So playing a full year at number 9 when you haven't done that, it's going to be very taxing on your body. So there's no guarantee in a year or two he's going to be in any different position than Reynolds was, where he's getting injured every second week. That hasn't been Ben Hunt previously. He's been pretty good injury-wise. But that's not a guarantee that he's going to be able to play 3 years fully healthy, play every game. So it's a lot of question marks. Broncos are you just don't know what you're going to get this year. New coach, obviously Ben Hunt coming in, a few of the same players. They haven't been too much turnover with the roster.
Yeah.
But they had a lot of issues last year mentally with games. They started off the year great, all those expectations.
And had a lull through the middle period, right?
Just massive lull. I mean, they lost many games in a row. Had Kevy Walters every week coming out saying, got to turn it around. We've got to come out with more energy, more passion. We've got to play for the club, for the team. There's only so many times you can do that.
It's just rinse and repeat.
It's just drained them emotionally. So I'm really down. Now you have Michael Maguire came in. Apparently he's banned. You have to wear shirts during training. You can't take your shirt off during training.
Interesting. Like, that's a rare call.
Yeah, I think that's more Michael Maguire. If I had to, again, speculate, that's Michael Maguire coming in trying to basically set the tone and say, hey, I'm the boss. I'm in charge. We're not going to be doing any of this lax around training, sort of players do whatever they want. I'm in charge. We're going to have standards. We're going to uphold these standards. And this is how we're going to go moving forward. Like, I'm
positive it wasn't like that at the Tigers, right?
No, I don't know if this is his standard ploy where he forces people to wear shirts. But
that just sounds new to me.
I'm guessing the Broncos were very, during Kevy, were sort of into this at training, sort of quite Reece Walsh style, if you had to put a label on it. Flashy, flamboyant, show-off, and I'm guessing he's just trying to put a stop to that and get bit down to the nitty-gritty. But when you got a team that is young, that is, like, a lot of their main players, Walsh, Carrigan, Haas, Staggs, they're all young guys. So trying to treat them all like vets could work. Like, you could chisel them into those vets that turn into week in, week out NRL players. Yeah. Or it could go the other way, where you start trying to change them into people they're not.
So I feel like the way that they sort of are now, that's how it builds like confidence. That's how like young guys grab confidence. They showboat and stuff like that. Show out in that sort of aspect of their game.
Exactly. You're trying to change who they are.
That's how you keep them at all-time highs and make them perform like week in, week out.
I mean, that's just one thing to speak on. I mean, maybe I'm sure there's other things he's doing as well around the club, like other standards and other rules he's implementing to really like say, again, I've arrived, I'm here, I'm in charge, I set the tempo, what I say goes. I understand that perspective, but such a drastic change, there's no guarantee it's going to work. It could easily backfire where you start off the year, you don't play well, and then things get a bit more draconian. Like, the rules get more strict, and once you start doing this, you can't suddenly rolling it back, if you get what I'm saying. If you start losing, the answer is only going to get more strict, get more focused, less of the extra stuff outside. So, as we know, Michael Maguire is a bit of a hardcore coach, and when he won it with South Sydney, who do you have as his leader? Sam Burgess, who was sort of the personification of that hard grit, NRL toughness. That is not the culture that the Broncos have had the last few years. They've been the flamboyant, show-off, high-scoring, fast-paced, in-your-face, arrogant, sort of Penrith style, just without the Fisher-Harris mongrel. So it's a big culture shift for them. And again, no guarantee it'll work. Michael Maguire could come in and change them all, and they could still have a bit of the flamboyance and a bit of the arrogance on field. Yeah. But in the background, when they're training, when the cameras are off, they're locked in, focused. And I'm guessing that's what he's going to try and do.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it works. It'll be interesting year for the Broncos either way.
Yeah.
One last point I'll say is if Broncos start off the season poorly, the knives will be out for Maguire because the old boys, the Tallases and all this, did not want Kevy fired. They don't like he's a New South Wales coach who just beat Queensland. Now he's coming to coach the Broncos. Yeah. And obviously for Michael Maguire, that's not going to mean anything. He's going to coach the Broncos like he would any other team. But for hardcore Queenslanders, Broncos, in the back of their mind, they don't like a New South Welshman coming in and coaching the Broncos, like Queensland, right?
I haven't even thought about it that way.
Yeah. So, and Tallis and all them made it very known that they did not want Kevy fired. He was one of the boys.
Yeah.
So if it goes poorly at the start of this year for Maguire and the players aren't buying in, and yet the players coming out and talking to the media saying we don't like how things are going, it could get real ugly because the media could turn on him. They'll get quotes from Tallis and quotes from all these guys saying maybe they need a change, and it'll just snowball and snowball. I think Michael Maguire will find himself quite isolated and with no friends in the area, sort of in the media, and it could get real bad. So Maguire needs a good start to the season.
Yeah. I mean, if it does go to shit, we just found out there'll be some new spots open in 2028.
Yeah, yes.
With the new
great
PNG.
segue, man. You're getting too good at this. You're getting way too good at this. Yeah, Papua New Guinea, new team from 2028?
2028, I thought, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, gave you too many flowers. 2028, Papua New Guinea. It's been in the rumour mill for a few years now since the Dolphins were introduced as a 17th team.
I feel like you always got to try and keep it even and spin on.
They don't want buys. The whole point of the extra team is to get an extra game.
100%.
So that means you get to sell it to the TV rights. It's all about the money. So it was always going to be an extra team. I think the debate was around Western Australia, maybe in Adelaide.
Yeah.
Another Queensland team. Another New Zealand team. But they've settled on
international.
They've settled on Papua New Guinea, and I would say the main reason why is the Australian government wanted it to happen. I mean, they offered $600+ million. That's a lot of money that the NRL just doesn't have lying around to throw at a team. The Dolphins had to fund it nearly all themselves. The NRL offers some help, but the Dolphins already had a financial system in place beforehand. Like, they had to basically open their books to the NRL and show them that they had the revenue and the money behind them to be able to sustain an NRL club.
Yeah.
Whereas for this Papua New Guinea, it's completely different, where this money is being generated from outside, which is the Australian government. We saw a report that the Papua New Guinea government's putting 150 million in, and the Australian government's putting like 650 million in. And another massive deal is apparently it's going to be tax-free for the players that go over there, which in a salary cap league is huge.
Yeah.
As we know, if you earn $1 million in Australia, the tax rate on that is incredible. You're losing nearly 40 cents on your dollar. So if you earn like $1 million and you just pay straight up tax on that, you don't do any sort of accounting tricks, you're probably paying $400,000, $350,000 on tax. If you go to Papua New Guinea and you get paid $1 million and you keep a full $1 million, you're effectively earning an extra $300,000. You're effectively earning $1.4 million compared to what $1 million would. So that's a big deal. So apparently they're going to build state-of-the-art facilities as well in Papua New Guinea for the players, high security. Like, it's all talk at the moment. We'll see if it gets developed. But the plan is that they're going to really make this a attractive destination for NRL players. And then look, in one hand, they have to do it because if you have a choice between playing at Sydney or Brisbane versus traveling to Papua New Guinea and moving your family to a different country, it's pretty obvious what players are going to take. So you had to sweeten the deal with some incentives.
Yeah, you have to try and...
The debate will be is how sweet are these incentives? Is it going to be too much? Like, will players... How much weight will they place on the financial? Now, there might be some young players who this is sweet. Yeah, let's do it. Get the extra money. Maybe the older players will be like, I don't really want the money. I prefer to have a stable home in Australia. So I don't think it's too bad. Like, I don't think it's drastic where every player is going to want to suddenly go play for PNG. I think it'll be interesting at the start to see how it unfolds. Another question for me, though, is how much talent is there in the NRL to create another team? Now, of course, they're going to want to fill it with a lot of PNG players.
Yeah.
But you also don't want no disrespect to the PNG players, but the NRL is such a high standard. It's like college players coming into the NFL. It's like, yeah, some players might be ready, but it takes a few. Even if you're the best college player in the world, you come to the NRL, it takes a while to get used to it, just because the speed. Every player is professional, high level. The NRL is getting faster, stronger, harder every single year. If you're playing Papua New Guinea, you're playing second grade. Maybe you're playing in the Queensland Cup for the Mackay Cutters or something. Taking a step up and playing week in, week out in the NRL is such a different beast that I know they're going to want to fill it with a lot of PNG players, but how much is that going to affect their performance? And they're not going to finish last or get embarrassed every week. Like, it would be such a bad look for the NRL if a PNG team comes in and every week they're going to beat by 20 or 30. Like, that just can't happen. So they're going to have to fill the teams with NRL talent
for sure,
with some substantial NRL talent.
Yeah.
But how much NRL talent is there to go around?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's heaps of NRL players out there. They just don't get a lot of games. I was like, you just spoke about it. Like, this game is such a fast-paced, hard-hitting. Like, there's like a bit of turnover in teams as to like who's starting, who's on the bench, who's out, who's in. So I think there's more people than it's ever been getting into these games, but they just don't sustain like long seasons and stuff like that. They're seeing 1 or 2 games a season. Yeah. So being able to introduce a new team, open up more spots, I think it's good.
No offense,
obviously not talking about the government side of things, but I'm just talking about from a footy
Tigers fans.
Footy perspective.
As a Tigers fan, you know how hard it is to build a team that can compete at the top level.
Oh, they might come in and we'll still get wooden spoon. They'll come above us.
I mean, I think that's probably good value, to be honest. But my point is we've seen teams like the Bulldogs previously, the Tigers, the Titans. It is very hard to break through to hit the Storm, Roosters, Penrith level of consistency in the league. Yeah. There's just not that many high-end talent. The Jerome Hughes, the Nathan Cleary, the Cherry Evans, these players, they don't fall off trees. There's very few of them. Yeah. And they're already worth a bomb. It's going to be difficult to attract 3 or 4 or to create 3 or 4 extra of these guys to go over to Papua New Guinea to fill their team. The Tigers haven't had that sort of marquee player for a while because no marquee players wanted to go there. Now, maybe the tax incentives and all that will get.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe that might help there.
But just one player isn't going to do it. You need a squad.
Yeah.
I said the league is NRL is so hard. You need you can't just have one star number 7 and the rest of sort of mediocre players around him. You need a strong forward pack. You need good wingers. You need a good dummy half. And there's just not many of them to go around. So look, I don't want to put too much of a wet blanket on it, but I just think it's going to be, the depth of the NRL is really going to be tested. And I don't think there is enough of a junior pathway system in the NRL at the moment to facilitate it. I think because at the moment, the junior pathways is up to the individual clubs. It's like the Bulldogs, the Penrith, this is what Phil Gould is all about, is building the juniors through the club in the system. So that you're scouting these players out of school at 15, 16, taking them in, developing them, teaching them how to play, to be professional, to train, to look after themselves. So when they become 18, 19, that they're ready to go. Not to straight away play NRL, but they're on the path. Like the NRL doesn't have a system in place to do that. The NFL's unique because it has a college football, which is obviously it's not. They don't work together, but it's a symbiotic relationship where they do directly affect each other. The NRL has nothing like that. They don't have the New South Wales Cup, but that's such a different standard. And some people play in 15 years in the New South Wales Cup or Queensland Cup and not make it to the NRL. Yeah. It's not like you don't just play in that and all of a sudden you're ready for the big leagues. It's such a big difference. So with the NRL, like even the AFL, they have a draft. They have they have more of a development program. The NRL has nothing. They used to have the under-21s comp, but even that's gone. They're going to have to either. Oh my! Just quick side note. Wow, we might not get much cricket for the rest of the day. Wow,
I think that day's been chalked.
What a disaster, man!
That's like 80% of water covering that pitch, right?
I mean, they do say it has great drainage, but wow, so much for just showers. That's a downpour.
Wow.
Whew. Anyways, last thing I'll say on this is just it's going to test the depth of the NRL. It's going to be interesting to see how the financial incentives work and what other incentives they'll throw on top of it outside of financial. How many games they play in Papua New Guinea versus how many games they play, home games they play in Australia.
It would have to be sort of like a similar New Zealand deal, right?
No, because New Zealand at the moment play all their home games in New Zealand, right? My point is I think they'll split. So, for example, if you have 13 home games, they might play 8 of them in
Right.
Papua New Guinea and 5 of those still in Australia in like a Townsville
Neutral field.
Yeah, or just like somewhere northern Queensland or maybe Northern Territory or something.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll play all their home games in Papua New Guinea. So these sort of questions that'll have to be ironed out. And my biggest concern is the fact that this was primarily a political decision rather than a sporting decision. When a decision's made, its main motive is political rather than sporting. How many of the sporting factors have been considered? How many of them have been thought out long term versus just trying to satisfy political motivations? Now that creates issues moving forward if you haven't done your due diligence and done all the ins and outs like you did with the Dolphins to make sure they're ready. Has that all been done with this PNG team, or were they just focused on, wow, this is a great opportunity because the government's going to throw in so much money, we won't be able to get this opportunity with any other team. The only reason they're doing this is for geopolitical considerations. Let's do it. This is the best chance we're going to get. So they've made the decision and not fully taking into consideration all the different sporting implications it could have.
There's 3-4 years to go, so there's still plenty of time to, at least...
They're going to need it.
Surely they've already got a plan together, but if they don't have a plan, put a plan together.
This is big for the NRL.
It's
going
massive.
overseas, building the infrastructure,
Huge.
the security, the places to stay. With all due respect to PNG, they don't have the infrastructure at the moment to do all this. They're going to have to build it all from scratch.
This is just another step above, us going over to Vegas now, just trying to make that game international. This is what's happening now.
It is a bit of a different, Vegas is all about trying to attract the sports betting and the money, whereas this is the
Did you see the Gronk ads that he's been doing for NRL?
He's been doing the NRL?
Yeah, they got Gronk doing the footy with no pads, like that sort of deal. So
I mean, why not? I'm sure they'll have Shaq as well. He seems to be on every ad.
He loves a bag, I'll tell you that.
Oh, mate. I said I love watching the college football on the YouTube. Don't come after me, FBI, but the guy streams it on YouTube, and it's like the actual American broadcast. You get the American ads. Right. And man, you see the amount of celebrities that are on them, and Shaq's on them all the time. It's the same celebrities
just
you
constant
see.
Ads that come up.
Oh man, you can tell those celebrities that just want that bag.
Well, we already sort of said something, but let's pivot to Australia versus India. So we missed our recap of Adelaide, where we finally leveled the series.
Yeah,
saw that pink ball swinging.
Smashed him.
Stark absolutely clobbering.
He's the best pink ball bowler in the world, I'd say.
Guaranteed, I would say. Guaranteed. So for this test, obviously rain affected.
How
so
disappointing.
Yeah, really, I think day one will probably not go ahead after this, but, we haven't needed all 5 days, the past 2 tests as well, so.
No, it is a shame. It was sellout day one.
Yeah.
It would have been a great atmosphere. Australia actually looked really strong at the start too. India, their bowling was off. Their line was way too short. The commentators were saying it. One of their bowlers, I've got his name, I think Rana. No, I forgot. The guy he's making his first start for the series came in and actually bowled a lot fuller and looked good. Made McSweeney nick a few and just miss some. But Siraj was
Siraj was short.
It was way too short.
Yeah.
Khawaja was having
he was cleaning.
This is his home track. He loves it. They said all this on the broadcast, but he was just Khawaja. As soon as he came short, just pull shot easy off the pads, straying way too far down leg side.
Yeah.
So I said this is our biggest opening partnership of the series so far. I mean, it's only 28, but that says enough. But this is what Australia's been missing. We've said this in our pod a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
That if Australia can get their opening partnership going, man, that changes everything. Labuschagne comes in a bit later. Smith comes in a bit later.
Yeah.
As we saw, when Travis Head is allowed to come in at over 30 or 40, what he does, he's one of the best in the world at coming in and smacking that old ball around. Mitch Marsh hasn't made an imprint so far in the series, but the same thing. If he can come in a bit later on and start just coming in with an aggressive mindset, changes everything. So,
and you got Alex Carey after that as well.
Exactly. Now, this is obviously for India. They started out so poor. They won the toss, send Australia in, and bowl poorly. This is, for them, probably the best thing that could happen because they'll be doing exactly what we're doing, looking back at it and going, wow, our bowling lines were off. They're going to come in, I guarantee you, the start of whenever play resumes, and they're going to be full at the stumps.
Yeah.
And it's going to be tough for these Aussie batters. So hopefully the batters are ready for it. But yeah, hopefully, I doubt we're going to get, as you said, that pitch looks...
No, I don't think it will...
the Gabba has as I said, I've heard from the commentators that it has the best drainage in Australia, and it's going to need it. It is only lunch. There still would be it would have been an early lunch too. So there's probably still 6-7 hours of possible game time left. It's going to have to stop raining pretty soon though.
Yeah.
But hopefully the rest of the days aren't really rained out and we can get a good match in.
Nah, definitely. But really, we saw. I mean, cricket's just a funny game. We were talking about Marnus and stuff like that. He came out, got some runs that really helped his case, and kind of like flipped with Rohit Sharma.
Yeah.
So now Sharma's really getting the getting the sword now.
Yeah. Well, is a lot of that saying he should go back to opening, or was that?
I don't know if it says going back to opening. I think they're really talking about,
Wow.
pack up your boots.
Jeez, that's a big call.
Yeah.
Rohit Sharma's like one of the most famous cricket players in the world. He hasn't looked good. Like when Sharma, he doesn't look confident or comfortable when he comes into bat.
No.
He looks like a player that's well underdone, that hasn't been in good form recently. I honestly think he should stop being captain. Like I thought his captaincy in Adelaide was really poor. I think his field placements, I think he wasn't aggressive enough at certain moments. I think he doesn't capitalize on certain situations that unfolded.
Yeah.
I think Bumrah should be captain. I think he's at the top of his game. And you saw in game one of the series that he was sharp.
Yeah.
They were aggressive.
They were better than us in the field in the bowl.
Exactly. You see with Pat Cummins for Australia, just how having a bowler, at the end of the day, your field placements is a bowling attribute. Like most of the time, the bowlers themselves set the field.
Yeah.
So a bowler is naturally just going to know the field placement. He's going to get a feel for the game, just have their ins and outs. Now, batting captains, of course, they study this, they know. But if for someone like Sharma, that for me, from the outside looking in, seems a bit distracted, seems a bit like his cricket isn't the number one priority right now. I have no idea, but this is from looking at him, that's just the vibe I get. Yeah. And you see it when he comes into bat, he doesn't look like a guy that knows what he's going to do, that's comfortable, that's played a lot of balls in the nets, just ready to come out and play his game. It seems like a guy that's just reacting. So if I was India, I would make that change and say, Sharma, you've been a great captain. You're in that sort of Kohli era when he dropped the captaincy. Just focus on your batting. Don't focus on all this other stuff anymore. Just go back to focusing only on your batting. Get confident again in your batting, and let Bumrah have his time in the sun to be captain. That's what I do. But yeah, the Adelaide Test, it really did come down to that Labuschagne-McSweeney partnership on that day 2 night. I think it was. Was it day 1 or day 2?
Day 2.
Day 2 night, where they came in and survived till stumps, and Australia just haven't been doing that recently. It was exactly what we needed, and it then enabled Travis Head to come in the next day and do what he did. If Travis Head comes in that night, it's completely different story.
Yeah.
We saw Smith still get out cheaply. I mean, again, we highlighted him before the series that he needed some runs and he hasn't got them yet. Labuschagne only had 60 or so, but he showed something. So at least now the talk's quieted down. You can just relax and concentrate again on batting.
It's totally quieting down. I've seen nothing. Like, that's just how funny it is. It's just one game.
And then if he had
got
it out
total
for 5,
cricket media.
Every knife would be out saying get out. But yet he gets 60 and all of a sudden he's safe again. Like it's just the media.
No, you're good. Great 60, mate. Good
It's
enough.
crazy, isn't it? Now, Steve Smith obviously is in a different boat to Labuschagne. He's got a lot more notches in his belt. He's built up more capital.
Yeah. High ceiling.
At the end of the day, it's runs. Batters there to get runs, and he's not getting runs. Jeez, every time I look, it just looks worse.
Yeah, wow, that's just...
So Smith, call it. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
What a job that is.
Jeez.
But yeah, Smith needs some runs, and this will be a good chance for a good opening partnership.
Yeah.
28, but hopefully he can build a bit more, and then Labuschagne can come in, survive for a little bit, and Smith can come in with around over 30 or 40 ideally, and I feel like this kind of pitch that he could do something on.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
But going back to Adelaide, he struggled, and then Travis Head just won that game. He took it away from India, built that big lead, and India's batting just didn't look comfortable.
Our bowlers were
the only time India's batting has looked good was in that second innings of the first test where they had that mammoth Hunt first partnership.
Yeah.
Apart from that, they have not looked comfortable at all. Now, Kohli obviously got that century in that innings too, but that was because there was no pressure. Like, that was one of those innings where you literally can come in and just play as free as you want.
The bowlers were dead from
so tired.
Morale was shot.
They felt defeated. Yeah. You're coming in, it's just, you already have a massive lead. It's literally playing with house money, right? So it doesn't really count. Apart from that, every other innings they've had has been really poor. Their batting they've gotten out early, like cheap early. Obviously, Stark got a first ball of the test again. He's the king at doing that, isn't he? So for me, India's batting has to improve, and their bowling is just, apart from Bumrah, it's just not good enough. Yeah, they're basically relying on Bumrah to do everything right now. it's too much. They needed a second bowler, pace bowler that can, one, keep Australia quiet, quell the runs, and also look dangerous with edges and wickets. Siraj has not looked up to it. He got battered in Adelaide, and he started off poorly in this game. They've obviously brought in that new guy that I can't remember his name, and he started off okay, but he's only played a couple test matches. And they brought back Jadeja to replace Ashwin, which I think is a smart move because he offers more batting. But yes, for me, it's going to be just a question of when India comes out to bat, can their openers and top order survive and knock it out cheaply?
Yeah, real quickly, what would you have done with the Hazelwood Boland situation?
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it?
You bringing Hazelwood back, or
look, if Stark, Cummins, and Hazelwood are healthy, they pick them. That's at the moment. That's how Australia have been for the last few years.
They're a guarantee.
As I said, we're the best test team in the world with those three as our head. Until they start to drop, I think you just got to accept it. Yes, Boland had a great game one, game two in Adelaide, but that was a pink ball. The ball was a dominant. How good would he be in these conditions? I mean, probably pretty good. Boland's just consistent. Yeah. But
I like Hazelwood probably more in these conditions.
Yeah, and look, Hazelwood played really well in that first match. He's probably our best bowler in match one.
Sure.
So if he's fit, he deserves to be in.
Definitely.
I just hope that he's properly fit and didn't rush back. I hope 100%. He's fully, because it was a side strain. And as we know, bowling side strain it's not a good injury to have. Yeah. So I hope if he is 100% good to go, then pick him. If he was even 85, 80%, I wouldn't have picked him. I would have just gone Boland. Yeah. But as I said, you just got to back what Australia's been doing the last few years. We said the same thing with Labuschagne. He was your bet. You thought he was your best number 3 going into the series. He had a bad first game. Yeah. So be it. You stick with it. Those 3 bowlers have been your main 3 bowlers for years now. If they're fit, just pick them.
For sure. I'm happy with keeping Boland on ice for a week anyway, just in case if anything happens for the Boxing Day test. Because he usually...
He's like 34, 35.
Is he that old?
Yeah, he's old. Wow. He's not a spring chicken. So yeah, as you said, keep him on ice.
Doesn't look like it.
Just keep him ready for the MCG. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, cricket checked off. Summer cricket. What about some? Want to dive in some NBA Cup before we finish off with some NFL?
Yeah, I mean, look, man.
Your Thunder are looking.
Thunder are just honestly probably looking the best team, I would say, in the league.
Yeah, it helps with. I mean, we had your center, Hartenstein, come back. So
he's looking great.
Oh, dominates the boards.
He's exactly what we needed.
100%.
Exactly 100%. What we need. A bit of grit, a bit of toughness, a bit of strength. Yeah. And obviously, we've been missing Shet for a while. We'll continue to miss him for a while. Yeah. But having those two to be able to rotate, I mean, that is... Talk about a Swiss Army knife. We literally have everything we need.
I want to see how they go together.
Well, yeah, of course. But my point is that we have the lineup now for any scenario. Yeah. We what lost us the series against Dallas in the playoffs last year was not having that. Shet was just getting pushed around under the bucket. That starts happening now. Boom. Hartenstein goes center. Shet either spends some time on the bench or plays the forward position. Easy. Like we got Caruso now at depth.
For defense.
Our defense is already the best in the league. I mean, by far. We have our I listened to the press conferences after the Dallas game, and the coach was just saying, look, Thunder, this is what they do. They're the best defensive team, and they showed it again. We kept Luka and Kyrie to like 30-something, low 30s points, or around 30. It was the lowest they've been kept in ages. Shea's playing MVP level.
I can't believe that wasn't the first name that came out of my mouth when we first brought up the Thunder. Like Shea is just different. He's
so good to watch, isn't he?
Oh, he is like the way that he's built with his strength and stuff. He just like bullies.
He's old school.
Bullies his personnel, whoever he's against. He just gets to his spots, uses his body to, find space and, just gets buckets.
Yeah, he's an old school player. Like he just goes the mid range, just sort of floats around, and then boom, all of a sudden rises, shot goes in. He's great to watch, and he also plays defense. He also passes. Like he's just a complete player. And you listen to him in the press conference after the game. He's a good dude. Like he speaks well.
He's got a good IQ of the game.
Yeah, great IQ. He was speaking before the game speaking after the game, about how we felt leading into the game, like being Dallas, the team that knocked them out. And he was just being honest that, for this whole day for me has been an extra sense of urgency.
Like revenge sort of stuff?
No, he didn't say revenge, but he just said he knew who they were going to face. He was aware of what happened at the end of last year. And just throughout the whole day, he was just... did everything a bit extra. Like he put a bit more energy. He was just a bit more anxious. Like he was just being honest about that. And I respect that. Like I think it's easy for a lot of players. Oh, no, it's just another game. Doesn't matter. But I think nearly every player in a big game is aware it's a big game, 100%. Right? Unless you're maybe LeBron James, who's done it 100 million times. But even him in a finals
I
game
would
or a
say
big
he's
game, he's
probably-
still aware
yeah,
it's a big game.
for sure.
I think the trick is not to hide behind or try to lie to yourself. It's not a big game. It's to lean into it, to be aware of it.
Yeah,
And that's what he did, and he was honest about it after. And when I listened to that, I'm like, well, that's good. I like that. Like, that's a guy who's comfortable with himself. He's aware that there's different situations that are going to happen. You don't have to always just be the same mindset, the same locked in all the time, which you still see sometimes now, that people just say the right things 24/7.
yeah,
So no, he's a great player to have as your lead, and all the supporting players around him who just value defense more than anything else. That's how you set up a team to win.
I mean,
And
team chemistry is at an all-time high as
we
well.
are-
Confidence
we
is
are
all-time high.
definition of team
Like,
chemistry.
oh yeah,
The only issue I have is how much secondary and tertiary scoring do we have? So come playoff time, I think what let us down last year is I forgot his name. What's his name? Williams? What's the guy's name? Forgot his name. Jay. I should know, but he played really well first two series. Played really well the regular season, and then came to the series against Dallas, and he just couldn't shoot the ball. It went from averaging about 20 down to averaging about 12, and that was really the difference that we just didn't have. If Shea, Shea's not a guy who's going to go off like Luka for 60. Yeah, he will get 30 to 40, which is still great.
yeah,
But you still need to make up those other points elsewhere. And Shet isn't guaranteed to get you 20 or 30 because that you can play him tough, you can play him physically, and he won't be able to be consistent 30-point scorer. So we're going to need. My only concern is how are we going to generate extra buckets in tough matchups where the defense is tight, where you've got to make a shot for yourself. Shea is really the only one we have at the moment who's reliable in that situation. So moving forward, you just got to hope that these younger guys who haven't been at that high level yet can sustain it in a playoff run. But that's sort of more towards the end in the conference finals. That'll rear its head. And hopefully they pick it up and can carry the torch.
yeah, for sure. We already spoke about it, but the Chet and Hartenstein duo, like I think that can help with that. Like being able to give more time to each player and swap them out or play them together, like that's just, it will create more space.
Yeah,
for
a lot
sure.
of second chance buckets too with
Yeah.
Einstein and Caruso. Like in that game against the Dallas in the quarterfinal, there was a play late in the fourth where Dallas were going on a bit of a run and we were starting to go on a counter run. And I think we had 3 or 4 shots in a row where we got the rebound, and eventually Caruso had dived on the ground, got a ball, flipped it out, hit the 3, and that was basically game.
He dives at everything.
So that's just like those extra plays, like Hardenstein being able to get offensive boards,
Yeah.
just box out better. Caruso diving around and putting those
He's a hustler.
hero plays, hustle plays. It's just, that also, as you said, could be the difference in those games. So it's looking, honestly, as a Thunder fan, it's probably the best we've looked since the KD Westbrook.
Yeah.
era.
Do you have any thoughts on this Atlanta and Milwaukee matchup?
Just quickly, I just want to say Houston
True.
in the surprise packet of the year so far. I've got to be honest, I haven't watched too much NBA this year, like in terms of full games.
I don't think anyone has.
But Houston, just been looking at the results, it's just been wow. Like when you look at the standings, they just keep winning, keep improving. They've got a great team, a lot of grit in their team. Like it just seems like they're well built. I've got to say, Ime Udoka, I think is proving himself to be a top tier, the top tier coach.
Goes from
what
Boston
he's done
over to Houston.
He turned Boston into a championship contender.
Yeah.
Like that. He leaves. They had a bit of a drop, but I think Missoula proved himself to be a great coach too.
Yeah.
But then you see Udoka goes over to Houston, and it's very hard in the NBA to turn a team. Obviously, it's too early, but it's hard to turn a team that's been meddling around the mid-tier, like the Pelicans style, Sacramento, and turn them into a top-tier contender. Like, it's very hard to do that without a established star like a Curry, a Durant.
Yeah.
It's you don't really see it. Like, the only teams that win are the teams that have like a Giannis, Jokic, LeBron, Durant, like these sort of players.
Yeah.
So Houston
Scared the shit out of me.
Houston are going to be able to sustain this for the rest of the year. But I just think with Udoka as the coach, with how their team is built with a lot of passion, grit, mongrel in them, they're going to be tough to beat come playoff time. And I think they're locked to make the playoffs. Again, the problem will be come late in the playoffs, their scoring.
Experience.
Where do they generate the scoring from in those tough games where the defense is locked in, where you're not getting open looks, where you got to generate a bucket yourself? How many players do they have that's going to be able to generate that? But in saying that, it's been a good year so far. Houston fans are going to be ecstatic, and it's going to be an excellent matchup against OKC, because I think that's two teams that are built defense high energy, togetherness, like that sort of very similar styles. That'd be a great matchup, and I'll definitely be watching that one to finally get to see what Houston's got.
Definitely.
And then to your point, what do you think about the Bucks and
What do I think about the Bucks in Atlanta?
Yeah, I can't believe Atlanta's there for me. That's my first.
I actually had Atlanta in their last
No
matchup
way.
against. Yeah, I really like them. I'm a bit biased. I'm a Trey guy.
You're
Like
a Trey guy.
I respect the threes. I respect the shooting. Obviously he's gone through a bit of a lull period. But I feel like this sort of season is like really key for Trey. For him to be able to really establish himself as like a number one on a team, because like for so long he's been like this trade talk guy as to like what pieces he can go to another team, maybe not be the first guy but more the second guy.
It was supposed to go to Lakers, right?
Yeah, like there's been Lakers talking, him, Zach LaVine, and everything. Like they're in all talks, like even Warriors and stuff like that. But yeah, as long as they sort of like they've got Jalen Johnson, they've got Capella, like that's the size that they need to dominate boards and stuff like that. And as long as you sort of have Trey finding buckets, like they've kind of really put together a nice little team. They got Dyson there for defense. Like he's getting so much respect on defense, like through the media and other players and stuff like that. Like people are really loving it. So I really like this Atlanta team. Like I said, it's just icy Trey. Like that's sometimes he's shooting, it just goes icy and cold, and you just can't break anything.
Give him any chance in the playoffs?
Yeah,
if they make it. What do you reckon the ceiling is?
Ceiling?
What round could they get to?
First or second.
You don't reckon they can make conference finals?
Nah.
Yeah, that's the thing with them. Like it's those teams. It's hard for a team that doesn't have a. Like I know you want to say Trey's a superstar, but he's not. He's probably tier 2, maybe tier 3, not tier 1. It's gonna be hard to beat sort of a Boston team.
That's why I can't give him like conference final, because I feel like their first matchup in the playoffs, they'll come like 7th, 8th, or just get in the play-in and win the play-in. And like that will just put him up against like a Boston
like 5 or
and
6.
Yeah, like.
But the East isn't very deep, as we know. I mean,
no,
Philly ain't looking. Might not even make it.
So as long as if they can gain some, respectable traction and get like 4th, 5th in the East, like that can help make a run.
Who else is looking good in the East right now? You obviously have Boston, who's going to be probably number 1. But I don't know who else is making a run.
I feel like there's someone that I'm just Cavaliers.
Yeah, true.
Orlando, but they've lost Franz and Paolo, so like they're struggling with injuries.
Cleveland,
Knicks,
Orlando, Knicks. I mean, Knicks may have a bit of experience
Milwaukee.
from last year. Yeah, but my point is that Orlando and Cavs, most of those teams except for the Bucks, haven't proven anything in the playoffs. Like they're going to be a similar vein to the Hawks, where if they get there, they're all going to be. There's not much experience there. Like it's going to be anyone's game. I feel.
Yeah.
Now Milwaukee have a bit more experience, but they're going to have to be able to put it all together, which they're starting to recently. They had as we said, a shocking start to the season. They've been able to turn that around. But I think the East is wide open. Like, I think any team, if you get hot in the right time, like that'll be a thing for the Hawks. They're playing well now, but come May, how are they playing then? How many injuries they got? What's their depth going to be like in the playoffs? So, yeah, if I'm in the East, I'm thinking, man, it's open. It's open for us.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially if they win this NBA Cup, that's going to give them a lot of confidence moving forward to know that they can win the big games. Yeah. So yeah, it's big, and they're
going to love it. They've already had Trey playing dice on the Knicks logo. Like that's what he lives for.
Yeah, he does. He'll be great against the Knicks in the Knicks series, wouldn't he?
He loves that. And they come against the Milwaukee. They had that lull period at the start.
Yeah.
And
it looked very bad at the start.
Looked very bad. Like I had them as my pick for conference finals.
I thought we'd be talking
Boston.
About Giannis trade rumors soon, but it seems like that.
It's held off. It's held off, and that's the help of Giannis himself. Like he's just carrying the team a lot of the time.
How's Dame playing?
Dame's good. Well, he got points in their last NBA Cup matchup. Like I think he got high 20s. So like they're gonna find production from him here and there. He's just not finding the consistency in that department at the moment, and that's the problem. I can't believe they, lost Drew. Like, Drew, I thought was like backbone of that team. Like, Drew is just an insane, like, defensive, like, team player on both sides of the board, to be honest.
He's a guy you need to in your team to win.
And that's what they've lost. Like, they just have to rely on this on Giannis to, give him wins.
And you can tell
basically.
how important Drew was by Giannis' reaction when he left. He was shocked. He was devastated. He still talks about him. Like, I think Drew, from what you hear from Boston players too, like, he's just unselfish. Yeah. He's just about winning, doing the little things.
Seems
I'm
like
sure
a
he
great guy.
prepares well. I'm sure he's good behind the scenes. Like, he's just a guy that you just want in your locker room. And on the court, he is consistent. He doesn't have up or down. He's consistent. He's high-level defense every game. He's going to be able to score you buckets. He's going to pass the ball. It's a massive loss for the Bucks. And I think it's a serious debate whether having Dame is actually better than having Drew. Now, style points-wise, it's great. Yeah. But in terms of actual winning, and especially in the playoffs and deep runs, I would say Drew is more important than Dame when it comes to that. So
I would agree.
I said the Bucks now are probably more exciting to watch with Giannis and Dame doing their thing. But I don't.
As long as they're all firing and
That's the thing. It's very hot and cold. That's why Drew's consistent. Even if your star players ain't having great games, he's going to be having a good game. Whereas Dame has the ability to go 1 from 11 from 3, and he doesn't offer the same in defense that Drew does. So look, Milwaukee are going to be a scary team to verse in the playoffs because we know that Giannis, when they won that championship, he has the ability to go for 50 points and 20 boards and just go bananas, and you can't stop him, right? Yeah. And we know the Dame can get hot. We've seen what he can do in the playoffs too. It'll be, can they sustain it? How good will their defense be?
Stay healthy.
But they're definitely a scary team, especially in this cup. I think Bucks will beat the Hawks. I don't know how you feel about that one, but I think it'll be... look, I don't want to predict a Thunder win, to be honest, because I don't want to jinx it. But I think
I'll say it for you.
I think that game's even. Like, I think Houston are playing with so much confidence right now. They just seem like a team that's the NBA Cup. This is what the NBA Cup was meant for. Like a team like Houston, that this is their Super Bowl. Like, I just feel like this is what early season, they're playing well. They're feeling so confident. In that locker room, they must be feeling, my goodness, that I doubt they even thought they'd be starting the year this well. Yeah. So everything's firing for them. Obviously, the Thunder have their eyes set on the big prize, the championship. They were 2 steps away last year. Of course, they want the NBA Cup, but I think Houston will want it more than the Thunder do. I think it's going to be a great game. I think we're going to need Shea to play well, and I'm honestly excited just to watch Houston play to see what they're really about, because I've seen them, I've heard about them, I've seen where their results, but I haven't actually watched them yet, so it's going to be a good game. Yeah.
No, I like the Thunder in this spot. Like, the line right now is at -5.5. I would probably still lay it.
Really?
Yeah, I'll probably still lay it, even at 5.5.
Actually, I kind of like Houston +5 in that. I think it could be a close game either way.
Yeah, I just think they're going to have to find a lot of production through Sengun, and I don't know where else
he played great in the quarterfinal, Sengun.
Sorry?
He played great in the quarterfinal, Sengun.
Yeah.
He's playing confident.
So, once you're, relying heavily on one player, where we already spoke about, Thunder's like complete. Even though they're missing Chet, they're still looking pretty complete. So
what's your prediction? What's your 2 semi-finals winners and your final winner?
I'll go OKC to beat Houston, and then I'll go Atlanta to beat Milwaukee, and then Thunder beat Atlanta in the final.
That's a good. That'd be a nice multi-value there.
Yeah.
Hawks. Yeah, I'll go Thunder, Bucks, Thunder. The only reason I think Thunder, I think Hartenstein, if you don't have him against the Bucks, you're losing. Yeah. With him, that makes that matchup so different. It means that he can be on Giannis, and that means I think we'll be able to defend Dame really well. I think our guards, we have the best defensive guards, maybe apart from Boston, but up that level, I think we'll be able to really quiet Dame down. I think Hartenstein, Giannis will still get a lot of points, but I think Hartenstein will be able to limit him. Yeah. And then I think Shea will just go bananas. I don't think they'll be able to stop him. Yeah, and that's a good matchup. I love Thunder in his spot. I think Thunder against the Bucks is a good matchup. But I think for the Thunder, their final is going to be against Houston, because they're going to be tough to beat. I think Udoka is a great coach at getting players up for these sort of games. So I think that's going to be an all-time game. Yeah, it's going to be great. So they're tomorrow, right? They're tomorrow. I think they're tomorrow. Wow. Yeah. That's good. So that'll be good. And then, let's finish up with some NFL. Yeah. BS picks. Run through the picks. Yeah. I'll go first because I had an absolute shocker. Look, this was probably your worst week to date, I'd say. It was, this was. Week 14 for me. So I had Buccaneers -6.5 versus Raiders. That was a good one.
That was a good one that got up. I had Cardinals minus 2.5 against Seattle. That was a loss. I mean, Seattle, they're just...
Close,
it was not even close. Their defense has been playing pretty well recently. So
they're on a win streak. They've been playing really well.
Yeah.
Recently. They've surprised me. I lost some money on Seahawks when I think their last loss, and I said I'm not going to bet on them again. Since then, of course, they go on a freaking 5 win streak.
This is how it always works.
It's an interesting game this week with the Hawks, which we might get into later.
It is. I had Bills minus 3.5 against the Rams, where you see Josh Allen run for 3 touchdowns, pass for 3 touchdowns, and not just doesn't cover, loses the game. And we just saw yesterday how the Rams and Niners worked out.
That is the Rams in a nutshell. We've said that though, haven't we? How the Rams one week look like just the best team in the league, and then the next other week they just can't do anything.
So that one was a loss. And then I had Chiefs minus 4.5. I mean, this one's just on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
I tried to warn you on the Chiefs many times.
I am not making this mistake ever again.
I tried to warn you.
I am not making this mistake ever again. And then Bengals, we touched on in text when we were texting each other. I had Bengals minus 5.5 against the Cowboys, and probably got lucky with that one to make it 2-3.
I think Bengals should have won the game, but they shouldn't have covered, because that blocked punt, that Cowboys blocked the punt, and then the guy who's going to catch it drops it, and Bengals get it back and then go down and score a touchdown. If Cowboys get the ball back there, let's say that guy catches it, right? So Cowboys will have the ball on the Bengals 40, tied game, 2 minutes left. Let's say minimum they score a field goal, then it's it. Bengals can't cover. I feel like the only way the Bengals cover that game is if they somehow get the turnover and score a touchdown, and that's it. So it was. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. That was
just someone looking after me there. So.
I thought you were guaranteed a 1-4 there.
I thought so too.
You squeaked that one through.
I thought so too. Do you want to go through your week 14 before I talk about week 15?
Yeah. So obviously as you can tell by my salt in my I was on the Cowboys in that. I feel very hard done by. I thought I was a guarantee for a 4-1 week, but to no avail. You're gonna have to remind me of my picks.
Oh jeez.
Do you have them?
No, I'll get our text up there.
I'm pretty sure.
I'll get our text up. Hang on, this will be quick. Because you don't text me as much anymore, so. All right. So you had Dolphins minus 5.5?
Yeah, look, I got a little lucky in this one. I thought the Dolphins were just the better team. I thought Jets were capitulating. I mean, Aaron Rodgers had his best game of the season. Definitely his best game away. Threw for 300 yards for the first time in 30-plus games.
Yeah.
And Dolphins get the overtime. As we know, the overtime rules, you win the toss. They
just march
on
the
need
field.
to fix the rules. Yeah. You watch the college football overtime, and you're like, wow, this is great. You watch the NFL overtime, it's like, what is going on? They need to fix that. It's so bad. But look, got lucky there. Tua drives down the field, gets a touchdown. And
Jonnu Smith, I think I had him for over 60 yards that game, and he had 0 up until the last bit of the fourth. And then they charge down the field, get that field goal, and then he gets an extra 50, 55 yards in overtime to cover that 60 yards. It was crazy.
Next one.
Then you had Chargers plus 4.5.
Yeah, look, honestly, I started... Play. For me, it's an auto play. If the Chiefs this year basically fade the Chiefs, you're going to win. It's been probably my biggest moneymaker this year.
Mm-hmm.
I was down on holidays during this game. This was the Monday. This was a Monday.
Yeah, it was a 8 o'clock game. I'm pretty sure, wasn't it?
No, this was the prime time. This was the 12
Was this
o'clock.
prime time?
So we were driving in to go to the pool in the bay, and this game was on. We had it on in the car as we were driving in, and the Chiefs were up 14-0 or something. They were up, and I was like, oh god, I've lost this one. What a dumb pick. We leave the pool, and afterwards I check the score, and Chargers are in the lead. I'm like, what the hell has happened here? I was like, I honestly had just thought the game was over.
Yeah.
And the Chargers got those 2 back-to-back touchdowns, and then from that moment on, I thought, okay, this is going to be a close game now, because I thought once the Chiefs have the lead, they're going to be able to run it, get the clock down. Herbert's going to be forced to throw. He didn't have any weapons. I thought there's no way they're going to be able to move the ball down the field. Somehow they got those 2 touchdowns. I think they got a little lucky in one of them. Was it a turnover or something like that? And then, Chargers was able to keep it close, and it's Chiefs get away with a win like they always do, but just keep fading the Chiefs, baby.
Yeah,
as we'll get into later.
And then you had Bears plus 3.5.
Yeah, this was a shocker. This was my worst pick. I basically bet the Bears for the dead cat bounce. After they fired their offensive coordinator and brought the new offensive coordinator in, they looked
new coach
great
theory.
The next game. Eberflus leaves. you hear all the reports in the media saying the Bears players are so happy that he's finally gone, sweet. And then Caleb, I think, how many yards offense did the Bears have in the first half? Like 6 yards offense. Yeah. I think they had more punts than yards. Like, I mean, we're talking basically the worst offensive performance you can have in a half of football. The Niners finally put it together. As we saw yesterday, I bet on the Niners yesterday. Oh, they'd keep the momentum going. No, the Bears were just so off that game. That was a game where the coach bounce went the complete opposite way, where they were dead on arrival. That was the bad pick for me. I just relied on the dead cat bounce, relying on the Niners to continue to struggle. But obviously that was a complete misread.
And then the last one, Giants plus 4.5 against the Saints.
Yeah, look, I didn't really think too much about this one. This one versus me is I don't think the Saints are worth being 4-point favorites. I think the Giants are a meddling team. Like they're in the. I think a lot of people just think the Giants are awful, like the worst team in the NFL. But when you watch them, they're not actually that bad. They do a few things well. I think they're well coached. I just thought 4 points was too many. I heard the pros really like the Giants in this game, so I just thought it was a good spot. And look, came out.
Yeah. So after week 14, I go 2-3, you go 3-2. So we're dead even on 17-13.
It's still good.
Pretty respectable. That's pretty good. Huh?
Honestly, I'm
with 5 picks.
I'm kind of happy the Bengals covered for you because I feel like us having such a good record against the spread is good moving forward. So if we can keep this up going into next year and say, hey, last year we were 65% against the spread.
Listen to us.
That's like, I don't know if you were watching First Things First where they were talking about the spread. They're going crazy because Nick's like 60% against the spread. Like I don't know what the stats are, but we'd be close to being plus.
Yeah, what's 17-13?
I don't know that off the top of my
I
head.
can't work with that.
If you just do 17 divided by 13.
17 divided by 13. 1.3.
Okay, sorry, it's the other way. 13 divided by 17. It's been a while since we've done high school math.
Holy shit, 76.
There you go, baby. Now, the bad part about this is I feel like we have not made any profit from all this. Most people who are doing 70% against the spread would be swimming in cash. Because we can't figure out how to organize bets and structure them all poorly and do multis, not doing too well. But hey, if we can keep this up, which will be, it's going to be difficult, but if we can, that's going to put us in good stead for next year.
Definitely. Alrighty. So, 2 guys, 74% against the spread. Here are our picks
shocked too.
for week 15. I'll go first because I had the shocker last week. So, my first pick is Texans minus 2.5 against Miami. Texans offense, they've been hindered by injuries and poor offensive linemen. They finally get a bye. They're coming off some rest. They're coming up against Miami that looked terrible against the New York Jets team. Houston's defense, they're going to get after Tua. They are second best defensive DVOA and lead in pass rush win rate. That's a stat for you.
Wow. You've been doing some research.
I have. I do expect the Texans to start strong. They've been a very more heavy first half rather than a second half team. I think it's like 15 points in the first half compared to like 9 in the second. So they've really dropped off towards the end of the game. So I expect a strong start from Texans. And as long as they can, depending on how far out they get early, hopefully, hold the 2.5 line and, cover by at least a field goal. So that's my first one. Ravens minus 15.5 against the Giants.
Very much against you here. This is
coming
out of your.
You just said Giants aren't that bad of a team. They honk. I love these Ravens. It's one of the most lopsided lines I think this season, which just shows a complete mismatch.
Well, touch 17.
Did it touch 17?
17, and then obviously they came heavy on the Giants at that.
I probably would have still taken it at 17 to be honest. But anyway, Ravens they're coming off a bye as well. They lost to the Eagles previously, and some more stats for you. Hardball, 61% against the spread with over 10 days of rest, and even further, 73% against the spread when those extended rest games are either road or neutral games.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good start, actually.
I just expect a total Ravens domination. I would be throwing in 2+ touchdowns for Henry, 250+ yards for Lamar. I just expect a total domination with this one.
Yep.
My third one. I'll be keen to hear your thoughts on this one. Buccaneers plus 2.5 against the Chargers.
Wow, you're going against the Chargers.
Yes,
You
I'm
love
going.
these two teams. You've been on
I
both
do.
of them for a
Yeah,
while.
I've been on both of them. I've been riding the Chargers high. I got off them at the complete wrong time and took the Chiefs last week. And so I'm sticking with the same sort of. Actually, I don't even know what I'm doing right now. But yeah, I'm going with Bucks plus 2.5. The Chargers need to score. And they're struggling with injuries at the moment with J.K. Dobbins, so they don't have a run game at the moment. They're going to have to heavily lean on their pass game. I just don't think Herbert's all that good compared to Baker, especially when talking in December, where Tampa has won 10 of its last 11 road games in December, and the Chargers are 1-7 against the spread at home in their last 8 games against winning teams.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
You've been these stats. Where you pulling
Oh
these
man,
from, bro?
I'm pulling them out.
Buck getting healthy too. Like,
Yeah,
Mark Evans coming back and he's getting more minutes, like more plays now, and that's they're a different team when they have those when he's playing.
definitely. My fourth one, Packers minus 2.5 against the Seahawks. I was very like 50-50 on this game, and I've been cautious with Green Bay, more so because of Love and how his turnovers have been, especially in the opponent's half, like giving away valuable points. But last season we saw it. Towards the end of the season, he got better. He went for like 10 plus touchdowns compared to one interception in like the last 3 or 4 games, I think it was. So I like Love coming back second half of the season. Packers really sort of like need this game as well. They sort of need to keep the wins up, not fall out of that playoff spot where they are, especially in such a tight division in the way that it's wrapping up. The Packers... Oh, this was my other thing. So Packers, they're 9-4. The Seahawks are 8-5. Those 4 teams that the Packers have lost to, those teams have a combined 6 losses, which just shows how like good of an opponent they've been facing compared to Seahawks. They're 8-5, but they haven't beaten a winning team since the opener against Denver.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I just think Packers are the better team here, and you know what? I'm going to throw another stat out for you just because I've been doing my research for this one.
Why not?
Since 2014, NFL teams coming off a divisional loss and playing on the road have gone 60% in the follow-up game against the spread.
That's a weird stat, isn't it? Why?
Yeah.
Why would you say that's? You can't see any correlation between.
Yeah, crazy. And then this other one. This is probably the one that I'm 50-50 on, and might not get me my 5-0 is Bears plus 6.5 against the Vikings.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm following your steps
my
from
burn
last week.
just didn't teach you anything.
So I really like I don't usually take like high dogs, but I feel like in this spot where it's a divisional game plus like prime time area, they're very like low scoring and stuff like that, and I feel like this will be a low scoring game.
Could you be undervaluing the Vikings here though? Like,
I could be,
because they only lost 2 games.
Yeah,
They are under the radar.
No, for
and
sure.
The Bears last week looked like the worst team in the league.
And they came. Oh, what was their game last week? They who they beat last week?
Who the Vikings?
Vikings. They had a good win against. Oh,
Can't
I'm
remember.
losing it.
I know Darnold played great.
Yeah. Like they finally got Jefferson going. Atlanta. So they had a good win against Atlanta,
And
completely
Atlanta
demolished
desperate
them there. What happens when you have probably one of the worst offensive games ever for Chicago? You bounce back the next week and do very well.
Do you?
Yes. Yeah, you do.
don't think that it's dead? Like, you just think that they're packed up shop and just...
I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't think so. I think they still got one good game in them.
Look, you're either going to look like a genius next
They
week.
just got to cover
or
by
you-
less than a
You could
touchdown.
you could be here on Monday going, wow, that was
Maybe
awful.
maybe this 73% is just getting to me a little bit.
Hey, back yourself, mate. You honestly, yeah, wow.
I expect it to be low scoring. Like both defenses, they're top 10 in the league, at least in yards
I just
allowed and
can't
stuff
see
like
how the
that
Bears
and
can score,
scoring.
though. Like, the Vikings defense has been electric, and against a rookie QB who's struggling, I just think I think they'll lock him down. I don't think Bears will be able to get any
I think they'll
offense.
go after him, but we've seen Caleb and how he can be on the legs. So as long as he can like get the legs running, that will help him
He's
as
gonna
well.
have to.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe Caleb rushing over is the play on that one.
yeah. So yeah, that's my 5.
Yeah, honestly, I like him.
Texans
don't like the 5th one, but I like those other 4.
So just to recap: Texans -2.5, Ravens -15.5, Buccaneers +2.5, Packers -2.5, and then the Chicago Bears +6.5.
Wow.
5-0, 22-13, heading into week 16.
Then it's time to start. You just start a betting channel if that's the case. All right. I'm shocked you don't have Cleveland in there. I got to say, I'm shocked you haven't learned your lesson and gone fade to the Chiefs.
I was going to, but you know what my lesson is? Stay away.
Okay. Okay. Hey, all right. Well, we have one different, and all those stats you
One
threw
different.
Out, one on the opposing sides.
Oh, right.
One when we're on opposing sides, and all those stats you threw out, really, it's just convincing. I got to say.
Really?
Yeah, because I was thinking Miami.
Okay.
Now, the reason I was thinking Miami +2 is because I think the Texans have been overvalued all year. CJ has not been playing like he did last year. They just haven't been the same team. They've been treated like they've been the same team, and because they're in such a weak division, their record looks way better than next year. If they were in the NFC North, they'd be 4 and whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So whereas Miami are on a heater, they've been playing well recently. Their tours look great since he's come back. They're finally getting things going. I know you said they only beat the Jets last week, but as we said, that was basically the Jets' best shot all year, and they still managed to withhold it and win. So, yeah, I'm tossing up between taking that one out or Green Bay out.
Hey, we got the power of editing, so you can take your time.
I like Green Bay -2.5 too. I don't know. They're the two Seattle's burnt me so much this year that it's
that's
scary
what
betting against them, especially them on a win
That's
streak.
went through my mind. That's why I said I was tossing up between both sides.
Yeah.
They're just too scary to take, those Seattle.
I won't go against your stats. I'll take Miami out. All right. So my 5.
Yep.
We will go Packers -2.5. Now, look, I don't have your analysis and stats. I'm just going to be...
Feel free to just take it, mate. Just rip them from me.
We obviously have very different methodologies into this, but hey, we're the same against the spread, so whatever works. So I'm going Packers -2.5. As you said, I think Packers are just the better team. I think Seahawks have beaten up on poor teams recently. I mean, the stat you threw out about those winning the records against teams they've lost to is stark.
Yeah.
Packers, you think we'll be able to move the ball, even though the Seattle defense is pretty good. I just don't think Seattle will be able to move the ball as well as Packers will. And Geno, historically, not the last few games, but throughout this year, has struggled at home more than away. So that's probably the one I'm least confident on, but we'll run with it. Next one, Philly -5.5 against the Steelers. Now, apparently the public love the Steelers on this one, right? Yeah. Tomlin is a dog, bet it, right? It's like that's usually
autoplay for me.
I just think biggest thing for me is Steelers have the Ravens next week. Biggest game of the year to win the division. I think they'll be looking ahead to that big time. I think the Eagles, with all the stuff in the media this week about the AJ Brown news, and we haven't really touched on that, but they're saying that Hurts and Brown aren't friends anymore and all this. I think that's going to motivate them. I think they're going to come out like a house on fire. I just think the Eagles is a great spot for them. I think they're probably the better team than Pittsburgh. I think they're on a win streak. I think people are overvaluing the conflict between Hurts and Brown.
No George Pickens as well for Steelers.
No Pickens is huge because that's Wilson's deep threat gone.
Yeah.
I think the Steelers let down spot here. I think the Eagles get up early and just run over them. And
I love that.
Nullify TJ Watt and Eagles. I would like it if it was 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. But I still take it.
Yeah.
Next one, Detroit -2.5. I'm surprised you don't have Detroit in. I know you love Detroit.
I was going to, but yeah, I kind of just want to watch this game.
Yeah,
it's just going to be so good to watch.
For me, I think the Bills had such a letdown from last week. Huge game, all those points and not to get the win. They're away twice in 2 away games in a row. Had to go all the way to the West Coast. Now they're playing Detroit. Detroit had played the Thanksgiving game. They're well rested. They're getting way healthier. They're just a better team. Obviously, whenever you're betting against Josh Allen, it's scary.
Yeah.
I would like it. This opened at 1.5. I'd much prefer the 1.5 because I could easily see this being a 2-3 point game.
Yeah.
But I'll swallow the extra point and get the -2.5. I just think Detroit are better. I don't think the Bills' defense will be able to stop the Lions' offense. Whereas if Lions can slow Josh Allen then it's game over. So I just think Lions have more ways to win, more weapons, more personnel, and I just think they're the better team.
That's why, the only thing for me why I stayed away is I think there's going to be a lot of points because you got injuries from the Lions side, and like, to be honest, the Buffalo defense isn't all that good.
No.
Especially going up against a top offense in the Lions.
Buffalo their defense has struggled against good teams. They're good against poor teams, but against good offenses, which Detroit is, they struggle. So the Buffalo is going to have to score a lot of points. Now, Allen has shown he can, but you just worry where is their offense after the last week and just sort of the letdown spot from there.
That's right. I'm just afraid of Josh Allen, and I'm pretty sure they got Coleman and Kincaid coming back as well. They should be playing for them.
So then Browns plus 4.5. Pretty easy for me. I think this is, again, Chiefs have 3 games in 10 days because they play the Wednesday on Christmas.
Yep.
So they're even talking about that. I saw Mahomes had to talk about this in the media. They're aware of it. They basically already locked up the 1 seed with Buffalo losing last week. Now, it's not guaranteed. They'd have to lose 2 of the 2 remaining games. I don't think their schedule going in's too hard, so you'd expect them to win that 1 seed, and Buffalo would have to win out, which, as we know, they have Detroit this week, and they're not favourites in that. Cleveland are tough to get a read on. You have Jameis, who you can throw for 400 yards, but still cost you the game with a pick 6. So there's no guarantee there. It's always scary. But if you just follow the trends, the Chiefs this year, every game against them is close. The Chiefs probably will still win, but I could see this being a 2-point game. Browns have the second best pressure rate in the NFL, and as we know, Mahomes has been getting pressured like crazy the last few weeks.
Yeah.
He's getting hit so often. Reed is basically turning Mahomes into just a instant thrower, like short throws, medium throws, no deep throws, get the ball out of his hands as quick as possible. They're not going to want him to sit in the pocket and get hit. So I think the game plan is going to be very conservative. A lot of running, not just simple throws, just a very easy game plan. And I don't think they'll be able to score as many points, and we know Winston will air that ball out. Now, there's always a possibility he's going to throw 2 pick 6s and the game's dead. But I just think throughout the year, this has just been an easy bet for me. Bet against the Chiefs whenever it's above +3. So that's the way. Then we go, that's 4. And then the last one, of course, is the Ravens minus 15.5. What's my golden rule? Bet on Lamar against a loss. It's as simple as it goes. Lamar coming off a loss, 10 days rest against a Giants team that covered last week. So, not that they won, but I just think, for me though, the best bet of the week is Ravens first half line. It's 8.5.
Yeah,
first half.
Yeah, that's crazy.
My biggest concern at this game is Ravens get up by 25, 28.
And then there's always a backdoor.
They let off the gas.
They have such a low period in the second half.
Their pass defense is poor. The Giants just start airing it out. Now, I'm pretty sure Tommy DeVito's playing, which doesn't really concern me too much because I don't think he's going to be able to move the ball. But it is concerning with such a high number that it's going to have to be a big lead to not have that backdoor open. Hopefully, they don't take their foot off the gas because they're angry about last week. They just put the pressure on and Giants are just dead in the water. But that first half line, minus 8.5,
I love that.
I think is a must bet nearly. Because, man, you could see the Ravens coming out and going up 21-0 in the first quarter. This could be a demolition job. So, for me, the Ravens, I think you said minus 15.5 is what it's
minus
currently
15.5, yeah. It's still that.
Yeah, so my 5 picks, Ravens minus 15.5, Browns plus 4.5, Lions minus 2.5, Eagles minus 5.5, and the Packers minus 2.5.
I love it.
Worried about the Packers, but I could easily see a 4-on-1 week coming here.
I love it. All those together, $23.47 in a multi.
I've got one in.
Just saying.
Yeah, it's already in, mate.
Of course.
Now, as we know, the multis are the worst way to bet it because all it takes is one.
We have lost so much money doing multis.
As you said, we
just can't structure our bets right.
We've lost, as far as people who are 70% against the spread goes, we're probably
lost the most money.
Lost the most money of anyone.
Guaranteed.
It's insane.
Guaranteed.
It's insane. The reads we're getting and not making any profit from it. So, look, you live and you learn, but hey, you'd prefer to be 70% against the spread and then 30% against the spread. And so we're doing well. Hopefully we can keep it up though.
Definitely.
Now that we've made it, now that we've recorded that, now we need to, the pressure's on.
Definitely.
But no, I feel good about our picks this week. We only have two the same, Packers and Ravens.
Yes.
None against.
And
then 3 different. I like your Bucks pick. Your Bucks, as I heard you talk about that, I do like that. I just think Mike Evans, they're going to be able to move the ball.
Yeah.
Chargers, because of Harbaugh, though, they're a gritty team. They're going to be up every week. And they did lose last week.
Yeah.
So they're going to be, up this week. That's going to be a tough game. And the thing with Baker, he's so hot and cold. I know when he's on, he's one of the best QBs. But he can have a Jameis game where he's off. And if he's off against this Chargers team, they will not score at all. Like, Chargers could win this 18-6.
Yeah.
So that's on the board. But as you said, if Baker's on and that offense is humming, I don't think the Chargers will be able to keep up with them. So I do like that pick as well.
Yeah. No, I like all of yours as well. I really like the Philly one. Detroit, like I said, I kind of just want to watch them rather than bet them, to be honest. And
great game.
Yeah. So no, I can't wait for it. It's going to be a great slate of games. And, I mean, both have the possibility to go 5-0. And
we do. Well, hopefully both of our ones we got the same hit. And then that'd be a good...
We know what we're throwing in our multis.
Yeah. Anything else?
Anyway, no, I think that's it. It's really starting to ramp up now, going into Christmas period and stuff like that. So we're gonna have plenty to talk about
Maybe
as
touch on college
the weeks
football
come on.
playoffs as well as it comes up over the next few weeks.
Yeah,
that should be good. NFL obviously ramping up Christmas time, so you have NFL ramp up Christmas, NBA ramp up over Christmas. Cricket hopefully will as well be ramping up, right? We have the Boxing Day test.
Yeah. Obviously, all the EPL games, their schedule just goes out of whack over Christmas time. There's just too many games.
Everything in the Northern Hemisphere just goes
crazy.
Nuts. I mean,
they're all stuck inside, I guess, in the cold. So
exactly.
That's probably
Sports news in Australia will slow down. You know what I mean? There won't be too much. But,
yeah, no.
That'll start picking up again in January, February.
Yeah.
And that lead up to the NRL season will be great.
Big Bash starts Sunday.
Yeah, Big Bash.
Yeah.
Don't really know what there is to talk about that though, right? Like,
nah.
Just maybe later in the season or things happen, but. No.
We'll keep you updated. We'll keep them updated.
It's all good.
But no, too easy.
We'll see you on Monday when we're hopefully 80% against the spread, and we'll post that. Mate, that'll be.
It will be going everywhere. Trust me.
Yeah, you'll be seeing our faces hopefully on. Mate, imagine if Nick just calls us up and is like, "Hey guys, you."
Hey, I've seen the record.
Yeah, we have to start putting it on the show, like.
We probably do, yeah.
Spread, like, you know, man.
Yeah.
Just
put it across our socials.
I mean, we're probably both going to go 0-5 this week because we've been talking like this.
We have jinxed ourselves so hard.
Yeah. We'll literally be back to 50%, but look, let's fingers crossed.
No, we should be good. But no, we appreciate you guys.
Enjoy
Catch
the cricket. Yeah, we had a few Obi